Hello, my name is Peter Butler. I'm Chair of Finance for the Congregational Federation, and this is my report. Now, 2020 has been a surprisingly positive year for the Federation finances, and that might seem a little smug because, of course, we're acutely aware that some of the churches in our Federation have been struggling financially. The COVID crisis has caused an awful lot of worry for an awful lot of people. However, one of the reasons that our finances have been positive is some of the grants we've been able to obtain because of the COVID crisis. But there's another grant, a gift of grace from CWM, and it's this grant that we've been using to help churches out. Now, only a third of churches have taken this offer up so far, and there's still money left. So if any church is struggling and could do with some help, then the money's there. All you've got to do is ask. Contact the Nottingham Department of Finance, and we'll see what we can do from there. I think Yvonne Campbell is the person to speak to initially. Our operating deficit has been surprisingly low. It's not only due to the sale of a closed church, but because of reduced cost. Now, the operations deficit at the moment stands at £281,184, a definite reduction on previous years. But again, it's due to our ability to cut cost because of the COVID crisis. We've been meeting on Zoom, and that's caused us to have a lot fewer expenses. The closed church receipts, 148,000. Of course, that's still too high. It's something we don't want to survive on. We want to get to a point where we don't need closed church receipts. And in fact, we don't want any closed churches at all. Now, the investment losses read as £500,346. It's got to be stressed. This is what we call an unrealised loss. That is to say, it's a paper loss, which means our investments are now worth less than they were before. Now, that doesn't really matter because we all know that given time, these costs will recover quite well. And indeed, I believe that this year they have started to recover. So, what we're pleased about as well, again, is the report from the auditors, because once again they've given us a clean bill of health and they've applauded the robustness of our accounting system. Now, anyone who's ever been involved with auditors will know that they are very stringent, and for them to come out with a remark like that means that we've been doing extremely well in what we do. The finance team deserve a thanks for that, for all the hard work that they do. You'll receive the full report, which includes pie charts for your convenience. And then we'll have a quick look at those now. The income pie chart shows the 16% closed church receipts. Now, again, I'd like to say that is a little bit too high. We don't really want that to happen. Now, what I'd like to do now is leave that to one side and look at the regular income pie chart. And you'll see that investments are 39% of that. Now, one of the things about investments going down in their value means that to a certain extent, but not much, the income we get from them goes down as well. The rental income is 11%. That will be down, no doubt, because of the COVID crisis again. Students just aren't going to university, and therefore we're not able to rent out all the rooms like we have been doing in previous years. The trading is at 10%. Again, that will be down because marketing just isn't happening for companies at the moment, and they're not hiring out the facilities we have at Castlegate. The expenditure pie chart, the biggest part of that is general purposes, which, to be honest, includes just about everything that isn't shown on there as a separate item. The CF area funds expenditure, that's something you can ignore to a certain extent as far as the National Federation is concerned, because that is funding that comes from investments that are strictly for the use of the areas in England and Wales. Now that investment is included in the original 39%, but as I said, we can ignore that because it's not money that we can use as a national federation. It's got to be used for the areas, and the explanation for that all treasurers will know about. But again, if you need an explanation of that, then I can provide that for you. That's it for the pie charts. There are some points on the report that I'd like to point out to you. There's 5 points, and it's something that's been approved by council and would normally be voted on during the assembly, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. It's simply not viable to try and get a voting system over the internet. Anyway, the points are: the accounts for the year ending 31st of December 2020 to be received, the budget for 2022 to be received, the reappointment of UHY Hacker Young as the Federation Auditors. The affiliation fees for 2022 will be £160 per church and £8.50 per member. Personal membership / associate for 2022 will be £42. Now this ends my report verbally to you now, but there will be a chance for you to ask questions later on, and if we can't answer them there and then I can assure you we will do our best to answer them either via a letter or email. Thank you, and as they say, good night.